Welcome back to the Daily Lift. And as you can see, the format is slightly different. And before I play the video that I prepared for you today, before I play this video, I have a quick favor to ask. If you haven't done so, consider subscribing to this channel so you don't miss any notifications of new videos and new content. But also, if you're getting value from this and you think somebody else will, please like it. Please share it, leave a comment, let me know your feedback, especially in this new format that I'm working on. If you have any thoughts, any constructive criticisms, please let me know. Now, without further ado, here is this segment of the Daily Lift. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Daily Lift. And in 2 Timothy 2:15, Paul is instructing the young preacher Timothy to be diligent, to present yourself approved unto God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So what is Paul saying here to Timothy? He's saying, Timothy, if you want to be approved by God, you've got to be studious. You've got to study the word, and not only just study it, but rightly divide it. What's this mean? Rightly dividing literally means handling accurately or properly, being able to navigate this book. However, we've got to remember that the Bible is not just a book. It's a library. And one of the ways that we can rightly divide it is to understand its divisions. Imagine going into the library and instead of using it like we're supposed to, finding and searching out the books that we're looking for, the card catalog or the computer, and going and finding those books, we start in the beginning and we work our way through book by book until the end. How much benefit will we get out of it? Why are we studying our Bibles this way? So understanding how the book is divided and how it fits together can supremely help our Bible study efforts. So primarily, the Bible is divided into two major sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament has 39 books and the New Testament 27. This makes up the 66 books that we call the Bible. And in the Old Testament, remember it like this: 5, 12, 5, 5, 12. These are the numbers of books in their different categories. So the first 5 books that we have are the fivefold volume, or the Pentateuch. This is the law of Moses, the Torah. And in this, we have the origin stories of man and how God chose Abraham, gave him the land promise, as well as the seed promise, which is the promise of the coming Messiah. Then we have the books of history. This starts with Joshua and goes all the way to Esther. And in these books, we see all of the predicaments, all of the things that went on with the children of Israel and Judah. After we get through history, we get to the books of poetry or wisdom. These are Hebrew poetry books, and we have Job, we have Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon here in this section. After we move from the books of wisdom, these 5, we have another 5, which are the major prophets. And these aren't any more important than the minor prophets, but they're just longer books. And we have Isaiah through Daniel here. Once we leave the major prophets, we get into the minor prophets, Hosea through Malachi. And in these 12, we have the proclamation mostly of the coming Messiah, Jesus. And this is when we get into the New Testament. The first 4 books of the New Testament are the biographical account of Jesus. This is what we call the gospel. We have 4 gospel accounts, but 1 gospel. After we get past Jesus' life, his death, and his resurrection, we move into the book of Acts, which is the historical account of the New Testament church, the first century church. This is how the church started, and we find out how to get into the Lord's church in this book. Once we move from here, we have the epistles, or the letters to the young churches. Most of these are written by Paul, but we have some by James, Jude, Peter, John, and whoever wrote the Hebrews book. Okay, so once we get through these, we have the last book, last but not least, is Revelation. This is a book of prophecy, or we call it apocalyptic literature. This was for the Jews and the Christians of that day, a warning and an admonition to hang on, because there's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations, but we win. And so when we understand Genesis through Revelation, and we see that these books tell one story, an wonderful love story of how God came to save man, and he has set up a way that we can restore our relationship to him. When we understand these things, we can begin our journey in being approved by God. Go lift somebody up.